Hey everybody, it's Dave back with Blockbuster Underground. We're coming up with a new review for the latest episode of The Acolyte. The last review I posted for this show lost me subscribers. So before we get going here, click subscribe, hit the like button. Let's get on with this because oh my god, guys, this episode, there were rumors online that this episode was going to basically just fucking tank the entire everything. And they were pretty damn close to right. This episode is a flashback to 16 years before when May and Ohsa were growing up. And they grew up in a society of witches, all female, not a single man anywhere. And they were basically conceived by, well, the witches call it the thread. It's not the force. It's not this all-encompassing energy field that surrounds us, binds us, penetrates us, keeps the galaxy together. No, it's a thread that you can pull on if you need to get power. So it's not a matter of good or bad. It's who can wield the ability of this force. Well, they were like, no, the Jedi call it the force, but we call it the thread. Yeah. There's one scene literally where they have this ascension thing for the kids where they're going to be like branded as witches and become part of the coven and the whole nine yards. The actresses playing the kids, I don't like to trash on kid actors because I know it's not an easy industry to be in, but fuck were they bad. Like, I don't know if it was the dialogue or just like, oh, just awful. The mothers of the kids, yeah, they're at one point they're arguing, and the one looks like a Zabrak. She's got the horns like Darth Maul, and she's like, "I carried them," and the other one's like, "I created them." And it's like, what? How? What? So now, episode one with Anakin Shmi saying there is no father, they say the same thing in this. There is no father when the Jedi show up. But yeah, this completely shits on the whole concept of Anakin being spawned from the Force, because this is supposed to be like 100 and something years before this. So it's like, well, what? I I I I don't get it. So anyway, the Jedi show up. Trinity's there with Squid Game, the Game of Thrones guy who like doused him down the poison in the last episode, and the Wookiee Jedi. So they're there and they're like, "Oh, we've heard there's kids here that could be force sensitive, and we want to test them." And they're like, "Well, there's no kids here. No, 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 no." And Ohsa wants to go with the Jedi. May, at this point, they did this weird, fucked up ceremony, the power of one, the power of two. All the women are like gyrating and like their eyes rolling back in their heads and shit. And then the one mother like force brands this tattoo onto the kid's forehead, on May's forehead, which is why in the first episode when Trinity finds her, she sees the thing and she's like, "What?" Because they all thought she was dead, obviously, but whatever, we covered that before. So right before they're about to do Ohsa with the fucking force tattoo, the Jedi show up and they end up agreeing to let the kids be tested. And then they take the kids aside and they're like, "So when you get tested, lie, fake it, fail on purpose, and that way you can stay with us and not go off with the Jedi." And Osha's like, looking around going, "I want to fucking go with the Jedi, man. That sounds cool. Like, I don't have to stay here my whole fucking life." And May is really mad about this. So her solution, and Osha's like, "Well, you can't stop me. What are you going to do?" She's like, "I'm going to kill you." It's like, what? So she grabs this book that Osha's got where she's been like tracking, like it's like a journal about the Jedi that she's been writing. She grabs that and runs out of the room, locks the door, and then sets the book on fire. And all of a sudden, the entire fucking place is on fire, but it's made of stone? What? This is like the first episode when she's outside on the ship, in like zero gravity, and a fire bursts out of the fucking side of the ship. It's like there's no fire can't exist in space because there's no oxygen. And now all of a sudden this stone temple that these witches live in is suddenly engulfed in flames and burns to the ground and everyone dies. How? I don't know. Maybe they just wore themselves out with all the fucking the thing before, but oh shit. So everybody's dead. May and Ohsa wind up in this like reactor room somewhere. Like, what the fuck? It looked like Star Trek Generations, where Kirk dies. They're on the other side of this fucking catwalk, and there's a big rip in the middle of it. And one kid goes, "What have you done?" And the other kid goes, "What have you done?" The other kid goes, "What have you done?" It's like, who the fuck wrote this? Oh my god. So the catwalk breaks. May pulls a Kirk, falls to her death, supposedly. Squid Game shows up, grabs Ohsa just as she's about to fall into the pit, saves her. They take her back to the ship. They take off, and the last shot is you see May sort of staggering out of the rubble, going, "What's going on?" And then credits. So yeah, that was the episode. So they basically shit all over the Anakin Skywalker thing. They redefine the theory of the Force. They have witches doing looks like satanic rituals and shit. And the worst, apparently they posted the clip of this on their Twitter account, the official one. And it's like, what the fuck is this? This is not a kids show. And I've heard apparently we're going to get even more details in the next episode about how the twins were conceived. And like, okay, because at one point they're like, well, what the Zabrak one says, well, what happens if the Jedi find out how you created them? And it's like, what? Like, it's total dark side shit going on with the witches. Like, at one point, the one witch, like, uses her powers and, like, takes over Game of Thrones kid. And his eyes kind of roll black, and he kind of stumbles and falls down. And she threatens Trinity. She's like, if you want your Padawan brain back in its right place, you better get tipped the fuck out of Dodge and get out of here. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is not Star Wars. This is barely even like bad fan fiction at this point. I mean, I remember reading interviews where Leslye Headland was like, I based the story of this on my experiences growing up as a lesbian. And it's like, okay, you got the coven of witches, and there's pretty much insinuates, And then, I don't know. This is like, what? Problem is, obviously, for review purposes, I'm going to keep watching this. Hopefully this isn't going to keep losing me subscribers every time I review this damn show, but I'm going to keep doing it because, hey, it's a Star Wars thing. I review stuff, so hey, let's keep going. But for now, let me post this up. Put your comments down below. What did you think of episode 3 of The Acolyte? Or do you think it has any chance? Like I think it's down to 16% audience review on Rotten Tomatoes now, and like mid-80s for critics. Yeah, this is oof. Yeah. Anyway, in the meantime, like, subscribe, tell your friends, drop a note down below, tell me what you thought of the show, and we will catch you on the next video.